Do you feel like that there was some contention growing between Hov and Wayne?
I feel like there's some contention growing between Hov and anybody else that gets hot to the point where they're on his radar.
Keep it real with niggas ain't got my lady money. Kidnap your get that how much you love your lady money.
There's people like Jay-Z. He helped me when I was really, really, really down. Jay don't want me to tell nobody. That man helped me with my tax. These are real friends, y'all. Shout out to my nigga Jay.
There's no reason why Lil Wayne should not be performing the Super Bowl. It's one person who's stopping this. It's not really a secret. Lil Wayne had a problem with somebody before who's kind of part of the organization running it. This is payback. Who's Lil Wayne artist? Drake.
He's definitely one of my favorite rappers and like one of my favorite people, period.
So you have like built a nice relationship with him?
Yeah, I think like one of the strongest, if not the strongest.
Of all the other rappers?
Yeah.
Wow, who knew?
He's just like an incredible mentor to me and gives me great guidance. I think the more I make him proud, the more he has to say to me.
If there was a rapper that should ever run for president, I believe that rapper would easily be Jay-Z.
I used to want to be on Roc-a-fella, then I turned into Jay.
In the late 1970s, hip-hop was born from New York's gritty streets, where struggle sparked innovation. DJs breathed new light into forgotten vinyl, sampling beats to create the pulse of a new culture. As the genre evolved, sampling grew beyond music. It became a way to inherit the spirit of those who came before. Just as DJs once cut records, rappers like Drake and Lil Wayne began sampling the essence of their predecessors, drawing arguably the most inspiration from one of hip-hop's leading figures, Jay-Z. Everything from Jay-Z's flow, wisdom, and swag was felt within the persona of Lil Wayne and Drake. Yet, as idols inspire, rivals emerge. Despite building on Jay-Z's legacy, they eventually sought to dethrone him, igniting a back-and-forth feud that mirrored the eternal tension between master and student, a rivalry that started 20 years ago and continues on today. To understand how the beef and bromance between these beat killers and businessmen has started, and where it's at now, we gotta take it back to 2003. See, 2003 was a very important period. This is when a young, 20-year-old Lil Wayne took influence from his idol Jay-Z and decided to ditch his notepad and vowed to rap every future bar off the top of his head. In a 2014 interview with Nylon, Lil Wayne reflected on this career-changing period of his life when the interviewer Jeff Weiss asked him, "When did that sense of destiny and feeling to be the greatest come to you? Squad Up, the Carter One?" Lil Wayne replied by saying, "Squad Up. That's when it came to me." The interviewer then asked, was there a specific moment or over a period of months? Lil Wayne replied, it was 2004. That was the day I stopped writing. Whatever day that was that I got confident enough to know that I don't need to write this stuff anymore, that's the day everything changed. In a 2023 interview, Lil Wayne also said that it was the moment that he heard that his idol Jay-Z didn't write his rhymes that was the direct inspiration that made Wayne want to do the same.
I know they say he never wrote. Did that inspire you? Cause
the moment I heard it, I stopped. You can ask him, boy. The moment I heard that nigga Jay-Z don't write no more.
So in order to ditch the pen and paper, Wayne had to get rid of every word he ever wrote down. As a result, he recorded the song 10,000 Bars, where he spit every bar he had left that was written down.
And we went in the studio in Raj Smooth studio, and we did 10,000 bars, and that was the last time I rapped anything off of a paper.
I speak for the street, scream for the ghetto, and holler for my folk, die for my squad, kill for my dough.
10,000 Bars turned into his mixtape Squad Up 7, where you can literally hear him on certain tracks ripping up the papers that had his rhymes written on them. Lil Wayne explained the thought behind the 10,000 Bars track by saying, "The only way I won't be able to rap anything I've ever written again is to record everything I've ever written before, once." In a 2009 interview, Wayne addressed how the change-up impacted his style as a lyricist. He said, "When I stopped writing, I noticed that everything was realer now. I can't speak on nothing but what's real because I can't write nothing down." His longtime manager, Cortez Bryant, also said that changed Wayne as an artist. He started pouring all of his feelings out. Everything was on his heart. Everything was in his head. He just started putting it out.
Wayne does this thing it's scary and it's unfair, and I'm jealous of it for a million years. He sits there and, they'll be playing a record and he'll just sit there like this, and then he'll do this and go like that and hop up and head right for the booth. and lay like one or two or three of the most amazing verses that you've ever heard with lines that it's like, did you just make a movie in your head? Like, what just happened, you know? Like, I'm in awe of that dude.
It was that influence from Jay-Z back in 2003 to start rapping off the top of his head that made Wayne the best rapper alive by 2007. And you'll see why that plays a very important role in this story very soon. Now, the timeline is a little bit foggy on whether or not Squad Up 7 was released in 2003 or 2004. In interviews, Wayne says that the turning point where he went from writer to freestyler happened in 2004, but most sources on the internet say that his Squad Up 7 mixtape, where he rapped the remaining 10,000 bars that he had written down, was released in 2003. And because we didn't have the internet tracking things so closely back then, it's hard to confirm the exact release date of his Squad Up 7 mixtape when Weezy really made this transition. The best source I could find was this article on rateyourmusic.com from 2004, which ranked the Squad Up 7 mixtape as the 5th best tape of 2004. So we'll say that it was probably released around then. If you were around back then, drop a comment if you know the true answer of this timeline. But regardless, around that same time that Wayne really leveled up his game by ditching the pen and paper and rhyming everything going forward off the top of his head, Jay-Z was simultaneously making his exit out of the game and claimed that he was about to retire after putting out his 2003 album, The Black Album.
This may be our last interview, bro.
Yeah, we just talking about it. This could be it,
This could be it? Why are you retiring?
I just felt like, what more can I say? Like, achieve as a solo artist. You know, I've been doing that 10 albums straight. You get in the comfort zone. I'm a young guy, you know what I'm saying? I still got to challenge myself in life.
On that album that he claimed would be his last, Jay-Z repeatedly bragged about being quote-unquote the best rapper alive. And it was when Jay-Z retired that Wayne seized the opportunity of the crown being for the taking, and he decided to drop a mixtape in February of 2004 titled The Prefix, where he rapped over a bunch of the Black Album instrumentals. Out of the 13 tracks on Wayne's Prefix mixtape, 9 of them were freestyles over Jay-Z songs.
Same time compatibly, Wayne Carter graduate, bang bang academy. Gotta respect him as a pure outside king.
It's unclear whether Wayne was trying to body Jay-Z on his own music, as we saw him do so often on mixtapes after this, or if he was simply paying respect to Jay. But it definitely felt like Wayne was gunning for Jay's spot at the top of the mountain. And while Weezy gave his idol Jay-Z props as being the reason he stopped writing down his raps, this would also be the same year that Wayne would come for Jay-Z to take the title as the best rapper alive, and he marked his dominance at the top of the game when he released his album The Carter One in June of 2004. This would be the album that catapulted Wayne into mainstream success, giving him the biggest hit he'd ever had in his career up until that point with his Manny Fresh produced track, Go DJ, and it helped him truly form that unique style that we know and love him for today. On that album, Weezy also had a track called Bring It Back, and this was the first time the world heard Wayne claim that he was the best rapper alive.
Best rapper alive.
Even though he still gave Jay his props at the time. On the track he rapped, "I'm the best rapper alive since the best rapper retired."
Best rapper alive since the best rapper retired.
Later that year, in November of 2004, Destiny's Child would go on to release their final album as a group, and the lead single of that album, Soldier, would feature Lil Wayne and T.I. Now, it's important to note that Beyonce was a part of the group Destiny's Child, and allegedly, Jay-Z was the one who recommended that Lil Wayne be the feature on the record. This record would go on to be Wayne's most successful song to date, and it's funny because only 7 years later, he would threaten to capture the lead singer of this group, the same way Bowser captures Princess Peach in Mario. Now, as 2004 wraps up, it's important to note that Lil Wayne fulfilled his contract with Cash Money. He gave them 4 albums with The Block Is Hot, 500 Degrees, Lights Out, and The Carter One. At this point, he's now a free agent, meaning that he could either renegotiate his contract with Cash Money and sign a new deal with them, or he could take his talents to a different label. And that seemed like exactly what he was about to do. We started hearing rumblings in late 2004 that as Jay-Z stepped into retirement to become the president of Def Jam, Lil Wayne was thinking of signing under Jay. And all the way back in 2004, Hip Hop DX, a site that's still around today, shout out Elliot Wilson and Jeremy Hecht, they reported back in 2004 that Wayne and Cash Money weren't on the best of terms because of the potential split. But allegedly, he wasn't just signing to Def Jam to be next to Jay-Z, but it was also to avoid the same financial problems that plagued his former Cash Money label mates Juvenile, Turk, and BG. Now, in early 2005, Lil Wayne was promoting the success of his biggest album to date, The Carter One, and he did a performance at the Upper Level Bar and Grill in Mississippi where he announced that he finished his contract with Cash Money, and the next time you'd see him, he'd be signed to Jay-Z as a Def Jam artist.
Lil Wayne also made a surprising announcement stating the fact he had just signed with Def Jam.
Cash Money nigga, that thing. I did that as long as I could do it. I'm a Def Jam artist now, man. Next time you see me, I'm gonna be with the boy Jay-Z, you understand me?
However, very shortly after that, in March of 2005, Lil Wayne released the mixtape Dedication 1, the first installment of his classic mixtape series, The Dedication. On that mixtape, he had an interlude called Lil Wayne Explains His Deal, and on it, he basically clarified that he was still signed to Cash Money as he didn't finish what he had to do with the label.
What's Wayne's situation? They had a lot of rumors that I would be going to another record company, preferably The Roc, Def Jam, Jay-Z, Sean Carter. No. Why? Cause I was, but I was still under Kiss track with Kiss Ash Miz on it. But I said, I'ma just ride it out and see what I could do. And so then I figured, I'm gonna go with The Roc. I'm gonna go by Jay. And Jay was trying to help me. He was really trying. He's like, dude, whenever you get out your situation, I'm here. Whatever you need, I'm here. Then all of a sudden I get a call from Universal. I couldn't even understand what they were talking about, because they were talking about millions and stuff. That was words I had never heard of, you know what I mean? And I was like, believe that. And so in reality of it all, I got some more time over here. I ain't finished doing what I was doing. What Weezy's doing, finishing up. Stay focused.
We'd get a more clear explanation on what actually happened in the later years of this story, but back in 2005, later that year in December, Lil Wayne released his classic album The Carter II under Cash Money, and this album marked a major turning point in his career and elevated his position in hip-hop for many different reasons. Number one, at this point, every single one of Wayne's former collaborators and label mates left Cash Money due to money issues. This meant that he couldn't rely on Juvenile or any of the Hot Boys for features, and he couldn't rap over any of the beats that Mannie Fresh would deliver them. At the time, Mannie Fresh had produced all of Wayne's biggest hits, so as a result, this album solidified Wayne's identity as a solo artist, as he distanced himself from the Hot Boys era and positioned him as a major player in hip-hop. He broadened his appeal beyond the southern rap scene and laid the groundwork for his future successes. It also showcased his growth as an artist, growth that we'd never seen before from Wayne. The album demonstrated his improved lyrical ability and versatility, and Wayne took more creative control by rapping over a diverse range of beats and introducing new styles. Wayne touched on this in an interview with Rolling Stones when they asked him what rappers he listens to, and given the fact that Wayne constantly mentioned Jay-Z was his idol, his answer to who he listened to was surprising. He said, "When it comes to rap, I don't listen to no one. I just don't have time to, because I'm trying to get better every day. When you find a favorite artist, you're going to start sounding like them. It took Birdman and the rest of the Cash Money label to pull me aside and be like, bro, I'm tired of every song you're doing sounding like damn Jay-Z. You're not Jay-Z." And in my opinion, this album is really when Wayne found his own identity and truly stopped rapping like Jay-Z. But more importantly, The Carter II truly marked Wayne's run as the best rapper alive. After this album, Weezy went on to have incredible mixtape and feature runs, really birthing the feature stimulus package where Wayne would hop on someone else's song and it would become a hit just because he was on it. And this would be something he'd do for years until he let his protege Drake take that crown. But we'll touch on that later, because more importantly than all this is the fact that The Carter II is when Wayne truly and confidently declared himself as the best rapper alive. He removed the disclaimer that this was only because Jay-Z retired. What I mean by that is, a year before this on The Carter I, Wayne rapped that he was the best rapper alive since the best rapper, aka Jay-Z, had retired. But on The Carter II, it didn't matter that Jay-Z was already 2 years deep into retirement. Wayne had taken the crown and asserted his dominance, no Diddy, because that album featured a track called Best Rapper Alive, where Wayne would say he's who? The best rapper alive. In an interview with Music Choice in 2006, Wayne said that he didn't catch any flack from Jay-Z for calling himself the best rapper alive, which was extremely motivating for him to keep going.
I ain't getting no flack from that. I mean, of course from the haters, but I mean from the man. From Jay, he propped me up when he see me. They gave me a lot of confidence to put that song called The Best Rapper on my album.
Later that year, in September of 2006, Wayne spoke about what truly happened between him and Jay-Z and why he never signed to Def Jam. Wayne said Jay-Z never called him.
I know for a while you've been wanting to do something with Jay-Z. He's back out of retirement now.
He never called.
He never called?
I mean, I talked to him, though. You know, he tell me everything I want to hear, though. He let me know that I'm that dude. Keep my head up. That's better than the verse for me. That's my idol right there. That's his role model right there. You know, he ain't never got to do a verse for me.
He also said Jay is his idol, and when asked about not signing to Jay, Wayne said, "It was very, very tough. But you know, I'm a loyal dude. I stick with the fam. But I hope we can do something in the future with my fam and his fam. From age 15, In My Life Volume 1 to Reasonable Doubt, all that, I was like, Jay-Z's the dude. Then he built his team. And who don't want to be down with his team? You could hate all you want, but I know you want to be down. I haven't made my mark yet. I haven't met that time period yet.
Was it tough not going on his team?
It was very, very tough, but you know, I'm a loyal dude. Stick with the fam, but you know, I hope we could do something in the future with the same, with my fam and his fam. It was very tough, very. I had to sit down thinking I knew that I was of stature too. Just haven't made my mark yet, haven't met that time period yet. I got a lot put in too, but when I meet his mark, then I have way more put in. And I know that I could build something probably bigger and better. But all off his blueprint, because he's the best. Yeah, I was hollering at Ho, but as far as, you know, about to go, you probably couldn't say whatever about it, but the situation was, we had a conversation, and yeah, the conversation was about me joining Def Jam or the Roc-a-fella team or whatever. We didn't agree on certain things, or whatever the situation was, it didn't work out, and I'm here where I am, but you know, it's all love. I didn't even take the flight to New York without talking to Baby and Slim.
Now, in October of 2006, Jay-Z announced his comeback out of retirement and announced the first single to his next album, Kingdom Come. The single was called Show Me What You Got, and it quickly brought Jay-Z back to the top position in hip-hop as it was a massive hit. Put it this way, the song hit number 8 on the Billboard charts, which was a higher chart position than any song that Lil Wayne, the so-called best rapper alive at the time, had ever released by that point in his career. Except for his feature on Jay-Z's wife's Beyonce's record Soldier, which hit number 3 on the Billboard charts. Now, Jay-Z would make his full comeback in late November of 2006 when he officially released his new album Kingdom Come, and he was definitely persistent on reclaiming his spot as the best rapper in the game. On the title track of the album, Jay-Z crowned himself as quote-unquote hip-hop savior. On the song Trouble, Jay actually sent some subliminal shots at Wayne when he rapped, "I can only view little guys like little guys. But in lieu of little guys trying to play that boy, I few little guys with the latest toy. Unlike you little guys, I'm a grown man. Big shoes to fill, grown pants. Probably hustled with your pops, go ask your parents. It's apparent you're staring at a legend who put a few little guys in their place before, trying to eat without saying their grace before. Blasphemous bastard, get your faith restored." This is in reference to Lil Wayne for a few reasons. First of all, him saying he could only view little guys as little guys and that these little guys were trying to play with him was a direct shot at Wayne being more of a newcomer than Jay and definitely a smaller artist at the time, but trying to play with him, aka take his position as the best rapper alive. Now, this could have been in response to any rapper that was trying to mess with Jay at the time, but considering the fact that Wayne's name was Lil Wayne and that he kept claiming he was the best rapper alive since the best rapper retired, Jay-Z constantly saying, quote-unquote, lil guys and not just guys, it seemed pretty obvious that this was a direct shot at Wayne. Jay also rapped, "Probably hustled with your pops, go ask your parents. It's apparent you're staring at a legend who put a few little guys in their place before." This made it even more clear that these were shots at Wayne, since on the Carter 2, the same album that had a song called The Best Rapper Alive, Wayne also had a song on that album called Hustler Music. Plus, Wayne constantly called Birdman his father. Birdman adopted the role of a father figure to Wayne, and he was also the owner of Cash Money, which was the label that Wayne was signed to, the same label that Wayne decided to stay loyal to instead of signing to Jay-Z just a year before this. So when Jay rapped, "Probably hustled with your pops, go ask your parents, it's apparent you're staring at a legend who put a few little guys in their place before," he's basically telling Wayne that coming for the crown is a tough battle to fight, and that he should strategize with his label owner Birdman, because Birdman's been in the game much longer and knows how challenging it would truly be to dethrone Jay-Z, since he's put multiple rappers in their place before who have tried to replace him. Now, we'll see consistently throughout this story and even in the present moment in 2024 that Birdman plays a very significant role in a lot of the back and forths between Jay, Drake, and Lil Wayne. Being the owner of the label that both Drake and Wayne are signed to, it'll become obvious that a lot of these back and forths didn't just stem from the desire to be the top rapper in the game, but it was also a cold war between Birdman and Jay-Z on who could become the most powerful figure within the music industry. But now, as confident as Jay-Z was declaring himself the savior of hip-hop on his comeback album, the project wasn't the success that he probably hoped it would be. See, Jay-Z retired at the top of his game with the Black Album. It was a classic, it had multiple hits like Lucifer, Dirt on Your Shoulders, and 99 Problems. He was calling himself the best rapper alive on that album so much that when Wayne tried to take that title from him just a year later, people got almost offended that he would even think of putting himself in the same category as Jay-Z. But that was 2003, and by 2006, things were very different. On the title track of Kingdom Come, Jay-Z crowns himself as hip-hop savior, but at that point, Jay-Z sounded rusty, and in many ways, Lil Wayne had filled the void that Hov left during his 3 years of retirement. Kingdom Come wasn't the same Jay-Z we heard just 3 years ago on the Black Album, and Wayne knew this, so he did what the best rapper alive should do, and the best thing he knew how to do, which was freestyling over another rapper's beat and making his version so good that you forgot about the original rapper's version of the track. So in December of 2006, he released his remix to Jay-Z's Show Me What You Got, where he reflected on his position in the game and where he stood relative to where Jay was at.
Weezy F, baby, is the best rapper alive. Hit me.
He rapped, "When it comes to this recording, I must be LeBron James if he's Jordan."
When it comes down to this recording, I must be LeBron James if he's Jordan.
No, I want rings for my performance. I'm more Kobe Bryant of an artist.
No, I want rings for my performance. I'm more Kobe Bryant of an artist.
When he says, "I must be LeBron James if he's Jordan," Wayne's saying that if Jay-Z is considered the Michael Jordan of hip-hop, then Wayne is LeBron James. Michael Jordan, especially at that time, was considered the greatest basketball player of all time, and LeBron James is frequently compared to him. By saying, if he's Jordan, Wayne implies that if Jay-Z is like Michael Jordan in terms of his status and skill, then Wayne sees himself as the current top player, like LeBron. But this song was released in 2006, and at that point in time, LeBron James was still early in his career and hadn't yet achieved the level of success that Kobe Bryant had. While LeBron was showing tremendous potential and talent, he hadn't yet won an NBA championship or fully established his legacy. In contrast, Kobe Bryant had already won 3 championships by that time and was renowned for his competitive drive, work ethic, and clutch performances. Wayne's choice of Kobe over LeBron reflected Kobe's more established success and the traits that Lil Wayne admired in an artist. And Wayne definitely raps, "I must be LeBron James if he's Jordan," but the way he almost slurs his words while rapping, it sounds like he could also be saying, "I must be LeBron James to beat Jordan."
I must be LeBron James if he's Jordan.
Which would add a whole other layer of depth to the bar, where Wayne is not only just saying that he's the best rapper alive, but he also has to beat the old best rapper alive. Now, this freestyle and everything that came after it really made Jay-Z feel the pressure and question his place in rap at the time. In a 2020 interview that Lil Wayne did on Drink Champs, Jay-Z made a comment saying that when Wayne dropped his Show Me What You Got freestyle, he had to take a long look at himself in the mirror and ask himself, "Are you sure you still got this?"
He said when he rapped on Show Me What You Got, I had to take a long walk and look at myself in the mirror. And I said, "Are you sure you still got this?"
Now, in the same month that Wayne dropped his Show Me What You Got freestyle and made Jay-Z question if he was still the best rapper alive, Lil Wayne also did an interview with Complex where he sounded more confident than ever and took the most direct shots at Jay-Z that we've ever heard him take. He said, quote unquote, "I'm better than him. I'm 24 years old. I'm 13 years deep with 5 albums and 10 million records sold. I don't like what he's saying about how he had to come back because hip-hop is dead and we need him. What the F do you mean? If anything, it's reborn. So he's probably having a problem with that. You left on a good note, and all the artists were saying, yo, this is Jay's house. He's the best. Now he comes back and still thinks it's his house? It's not your house anymore, and I'm better than you." Speaking of Wayne being 24, a couple months later, a song would leak, which had, in my opinion, the best feature verse we've ever received from Wayne on a track called Beat Without Bass. This track featured very clear subliminal shots at Jay-Z. Lil Wayne started off the verse by saying, "I make it rain, but I ain't God, but I am God's son, but you know I ain't Nas."
But I am God's son, but you know I ain't Nas.
See, he got a positive aim, and I aim 9s.
See, he got a positive aim, and I aim 9s.
Here he's kind of comparing himself to Nas, who also had a very famous feud with Jay-Z, but he's saying Nas's aim is more positive. He's taking a more positive approach. They ended the beef. Nas and him are on positive terms. But Wayne, however, is not on those same positive terms. He's aiming 9s, meaning he's ready to kill. Later in that verse, he ends it off by saying,
"You old ass rappers better stay on tour. You like 44.
I got a 44. I'm 24. I could murk you and come home when I'm 44.
I got a 44. I'm 24. I can murk you and come home when I'm 44.
This was a statement far more scathing than just calling himself the best rapper alive. Here he's telling Jay-Z he's washed, he should just stay on tour as a legacy act. Lil Wayne is young, he's 24, he's hungry, and Jay-Z's not even his competition anymore. Now, on an important side note, around this same time in 2006, when Wayne and Jay-Z were battling for the crown as the best rapper alive, Cam'ron and his group The Diplomats, aka Dipset, were also engaged in a bigger beef with Jay-Z. Dipset was a collective comprised of Cam'ron, Jim Jones, Freaky Zeke, and Joel Santana, and they were signed to Def Jam Records, the label that Jay-Z was president of. Cam'ron felt undervalued and sidelined by Jay-Z, and their beef escalated when Jay-Z allegedly vetoed Cam'ron's promotion to a higher executive position within the label. This business friction led to personal animosities, with Cam'ron and Dipset releasing multiple diss records aimed at Jay-Z, including the records You Gotta Love It and Swagger Jacker. The feud was fueled by contrasting styles and visions for the label, as well as competition for dominance in the New York rap scene. At the same time that Dipset was beefing with Jay, they were fully embracing Wayne, and during the monster run at the top of the game that Wayne had in 2007, he often collaborated with members of Dipset, most notably Joel Santana, as the two were supposed to put out an album together called I Can't Feel My Face. But like most of Wayne's best music at the time, a lot of the records from his project with Joel Santana got leaked online before he could officially release them. Now, why this is interesting is because after Birdman tells Wayne to stop sounding like his idol Jay-Z so much, Wayne completely innovates his style, rapping like we've never heard anyone rap before in history, and calling himself the best rapper alive while he's doing it. At the same time, Jay-Z has a hard time making his way back to the top of the game after retiring and starts battling Lil Wayne for who deserves the title as the best rapper alive. Simultaneously, he's also beefing with Dipset over the dominance and future soundscape of New York rap. With Wayne's attempts to appeal to a wider audience and get validation as the best rapper alive from the gatekeepers and leaders within the culture, he clicks up with Dipset to introduce and blend his southern style with the more popular New York sound that birthed and dominated hip-hop for so many years before this. And this played a pivotal role in him being able to introduce his unique competitive style to the main stage and get praised while doing it. Joe Budden emphasized this in 2017 when he said that Cam'ron played a crucial role in bridging the gap between Southern rappers and the New York hip-hop scene. He specifically credits Cam'ron with helping Lil Wayne gain respect in New York City, suggesting that Cam'ron and Dipset's influence and acceptance to Southern artists helped open doors for them in rap, which was a market that was traditionally focused on more East Coast styles.
I credit Cam with Southern rappers' success still to this day. Cam, during this time that you speak of when he had all this influence in New York, was the one to embrace Wayne. We wasn't fucking with Wayne like that in New York. When Cam said it was cool, when Joel said it was cool, when Dipset said it was cool to rock with Wayne, that's when we rocked with Wayne. And that is when Wayne started, I'm the best rapper in the world. And that's when we started listening. When we accepted him here, it allowed an entirely new conversation to be birthed in terms of Wayne.
Wayne's association and collaborations with Dipset, along with the incredible projects he was dropping at the time, truly highlighted the cultural shift and increased acceptance of diverse hip-hop styles in New York during that era. And now this brings us to 2007, when Wayne was undoubtedly the best, most untouchable rapper in the world. With the confidence that came with his newfound massive success, Weezy doubled down on the comments he made about being better than Jay-Z when he did an interview at Hot 97. DJ Absolute asked Wayne about why he was going to sign with Jay-Z but never ended up doing so. Wayne said, "I want people to just look at it like that dude who came out of college that was supposed to get drafted by the #1 team, which was Roc-a-fella and Def Jam. They passed on me, and now I'm with a good team and a good coach. And of course, on every interview, I'm going to cut down the team that didn't pick me." But just a month later in February 2007, Wayne seemed to walk back his comments, not necessarily saying he wasn't better than Jay-Z, but emphasizing that he didn't want to come off as disrespectful by saying he's better than Jay. In an interview with XXL, Weezy said, "I want to apologize to Jay and his family and friends, because I was asked that question and they put it in there like I was just feeling like, oh, you know what? I'm better than Jay. They came at me like, so you say you're the best. Can you say that you're better than everybody? Would you say that you're better than Jay?" I was like, yeah, I'm better than everybody. But I'd like to throw that apology out there because of whatever trouble I caused. I didn't want that to happen. A few months later, in July of 2007, Jay-Z featured on T.I.'s song, Watch What You Say, where he seemed to address all the tough talk that Wayne had been throwing his way. Jay rapped, "I hear you've been baiting me lately. I've been doing my best just to stay hater-free. Still, watch what you say to me. Sooner or later, I take you up on your offering. I put you all in your place, like I'm replacing your father. You're talking to the author, the architect of the blueprint. My DNA in your music, mother effer. Watch what you say to me."
You talking to the author, the architect of the blueprint. My DNA in your music, motherfucker.
Here he's again referencing Birdman, Wayne's father figure, by saying, "I'm replacing your father," which was also likely a metaphor to the fact that Wayne was going to leave Cash Money to sign with Jay-Z, which would have meant that Jay-Z was replacing Wayne's father figure Birdman. He's also alluding to the fact that he's Wayne's biggest inspiration and the source of where Wayne got a lot of his original style and sound from, by saying that my DNA is in your music. He's also sending warning shots by telling Wayne to stop baiting him and to watch what he says, or else sooner or later, Jay will put Wayne in his place by taking him up on the challenge that Wayne is the better rapper. Now, these warning shots seem to be enough for Wayne to back off for the time being. Plus, he had bigger things to worry about, as people genuinely viewed him as the best rapper alive at this point. He was the biggest rapper in the world, and the pressure was on him to drop the massive Carter 3, which kept getting leaked, and start his new label Young Money. So instead of continuing to bait Jay-Z by saying that he's better than him, Wayne decided to give his idol a song that he had been cooking up called Hello Brooklyn. The The song would make it onto Jay-Z's album American Gangster, and Wayne would be one of the very few artists that got to make an appearance on the album, with Jay showing the world how important he thought a Lil Wayne feature was. When Wayne was asked about Jay-Z requesting a song from him, he said, "When I was asked the question, I told him it wasn't even a question. He's got it. Everybody in the world knows how I feel about Jay. He's the king. Utmost respect." Later that year, Jay-Z would perform the album at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York, where he would bring out Wayne to perform the record together. During Weezy's performance, he pointed to Jay-Z and said, "The best rapper alive," and then pointed back to himself and said, "The next rapper in line." Wayne would continue praising Jay-Z and showing how much the rapper's music truly meant to him, as he said that Jay-Z's In My Lifetime Volume 1 was one of the albums that changed his life. He said that Hov's song Lucky Me is his favorite song off the album, and that he actually has the words Lucky Me tattooed on his neck, along with a verse of that song tattooed on his leg.
When I leave this earth, it's gonna be on both feet, never knees in the dirt. When I leave this earth, it's gonna be on both feet, never knees in the dirt.
Now, Wayne may have a lot of tattoos and a lot of records where he says he's the best rapper, but to claim that he's got Jay's record inked on his body and that Jay-Z's album changed his life showed how much Weezy truly valued Jay as an artist and as a role model, regardless of whether or not he wanted to surpass him. And Jay-Z may have regained that Best Rapper Alive title for a very short period of time after the release of his American Gangster album, but it wouldn't be long before Wayne reached a height that even Jay-Z hadn't seen in his entire career. That came in 2008 with the release of Wayne's long-awaited album, The Carter 3. While he declared himself the best rapper alive on The Carter 2, it was The Carter 3 that saw Wayne accomplishing milestones that were never attained by his mentor, as the album sold over 1 million copies in its first week of release, which was something Jay-Z has never done to this day. On that album, we saw the two rappers come together again on the song Mr. Carter. Funny enough, the two rappers battling for the crown of hip-hop both shared the same last name, and that record really served as a passing of the torch from one Carter to the next, with Jay-Z showing the world that he was ready to embrace Wayne as his protege and recognize the fact that the student may have just become the master. Jay-Z rapped on that record saying, "I'm right here in my chair with my crown and my dear Queen Bee as I share, mic time with my heir. Young Carter, go farther, go further, go harder. Is that not why we came? And if not, then why bother?"
My chair with my crown and my dear Queen Bee as I share, mic time with my ear.
He also ended his verse off by telling Wayne, "I took so much change from this rap game, it's your go." Wayne would respond to Jay on his verse by rapping, "And next time you mention Pac, Biggie, and Jay-Z, don't forget Weezy, baby." So at this point in time, it seemed like both rappers were at peace and acknowledged the role that they both played within hip-hop at that time. Jay-Z was the legend who paved the way and inspired Wayne to become who he was, and Wayne took it to another level, becoming at that moment hip-hop royalty, something he always viewed Jay as being the pinnacle of. However, when Jay-Z was asked about their collaboration on The Carter 3, while he wasn't salty in any way, shape, or form, he also wasn't necessarily showering Wayne with praises. In one interview, he said, the song wasn't a quote-unquote collaboration thing, it was something that was done already. The interviewer said that that was a record that everybody had been waiting for, and Jay-Z responded by saying, quote-unquote, "Not really, it's like more of a creative great record rather than a lyrical slugfest or two guys just spitting. Success is more of what people want to look at when they judge that type of stuff, because it's just me and Nas going at it."
Well, they sent the record and we, it was done. So it wasn't like a collaboration thing. It was something that was done already.
That's like the collaboration everybody been waiting for.
Yeah, it's not really it's more of a great record than like a lyrical slugfest. It's just a really great record. It's more of a creative great record than two guys spitting. Success is more of what people want to look at when they judge that type of stuff, because it's just me and Nas going at it.
Almost seems like he's trying to say here that this isn't like him and Nas going back and forth, or maybe him and Eminem having a lyrical slugfest head to head on a song like Renegade. His competition with Wayne stems more from who's more successful, who's selling more records, not who's outdoing who from a rapping perspective. In another interview that same year with Vibe, Jay-Z seems to embrace Lil Wayne, but also kind of Lil Bros him a bit at the same time. He said, "You should embrace the next generation. In hip-hop, you always fight the next person coming because that person wants your spot. He first approached me as a fan. When he felt like he was close enough, he was like, maybe I can take his head off." And then Jay-Z laughed. And then he said, "Which is natural. I think he really is a fan of mine. I think he really loves the stuff I've done. But as a person, as a competitor, that's only natural. There was a time when Kobe was like, I think I can take Mike. I admire that in a way." The public has him in line next, and for me to say he's not in line next would be foolish. That's what the public says, so why not? Later that year, we'd get another collaboration from Wayne and Jay on the song Swagger Like Us, which also included verses from T.I. and Kanye, two other rappers that were also at the top of their game at the time and actively competed for that Best Rapper Alive title. The four megastar MCs linked up to rock the song at the Grammys the following year, and I want you to let me know in the comments who you think had the best verse on that record, and if they released it today in 2024 with all new verses, who would have the best one? Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, T.I., or Kanye West? Now, this takes us to 2009. After the massive 2008 that Lil Wayne had with the Carter 3, it was now Jay-Z's turn to make a comeback with the Blueprint 3. The first single off that album was called DOA. It was Jay-Z's attempt at trying to kill the trend of autotune, which at the time was taking hip-hop by storm, with guys like Kanye West, obviously Lil Wayne, and famously T-Pain, abusing it in every single record that they put out at the time. However, Jay-Z actually shouts out Lil Wayne on that song by saying, "I might send this to the mixtape Weezy," which is him acknowledging Wayne's monstrous run of changing the mixtape game and putting out classic tapes where he would body other rappers' beats.
I might send this to the mixtape Weezy.
Jay also clarified that he wasn't talking directly to Lil Wayne, Kanye West, or T-Pain on that Death of Autotune record because he actually likes the way that they incorporated autotune into their music. Now, Jay-Z's efforts to kill autotune were very unsuccessful, as at the same time that he was declaring it overused and dead, Lil Wayne was in the process of signing his next protege, Drake, who would revolutionize the way rappers used autotune to blend rapping and singing in an innovative hybrid of delivering melodies and bars. Drake was actually featured on Jay-Z's album The Blueprint 3, which Wayne was noticeably missing from. And ironically, while Jay-Z declared that autotune was dead on that album, Drake had a hook on a song off that album called Off That, where he was definitely abusing autotune by drowning his voice in it. On The Blueprint 3, Jay-Z also rapped on a song called The Star Is Born, applauding Weezy by saying, "Wayne's scorching, I'll applaud him. If he keeps going, pass the torch to him."
Wayne scorching, I'll applaud him. If he keep going, pass the torch to him.
But while he's applauding Wayne here, this is where the story gets interesting, because this is really the point when Jay-Z divests most of his attention away from Wayne and focuses it more on Drake. He recognized that the torch was being passed and Drake would now become the bigger threat than Wayne, as Wayne would kind of take a step back from the spotlight and let Drake infect the world with his new style. When Jay was in Toronto, he did an interview with Much Music where he applauded Drake's recent success. He said So Far Gone was an incredible project, and he told Drake to just stay focused and keep going and keep working hard, and the success would come.
Drake, I know that you're a fan, I know you've worked with him, and he speaks really highly of you, so he is already at that point where he could blow up into craziness. So what do you wish that somebody would have told you at that point?
You know, he just needs to focus. I mean, he's proved that he's very talented, you know, with that mixtape, which was phenomenal. He proved that he's very talented, so he just has to maintain that focus, because right now all the eyes are on him, and not lose that. I think he's going to be fine.
And Drake echoed the same love and admiration for Jay-Z that Lil Wayne had. He rapped on his 2009 track Fear, saying, "I never cried when Tupac died, but I probably will when Hov does." And thanks to the success of The Blueprint 3, Jay-Z was named the hottest MC in the game in 2009 by MTV, and Birdman was asked about this, and he said,
"I don't think he's the #1 MC. Wayne the best, he do the most, and he make the most money."
How can you say you're the best if you don't make the most money, and you don't do the most?
Lyrically, come on, man, be for real, man. Can't nobody with Wayne. Us. And to me, if you're #1 and you ain't getting no money, don't mean nothing. You hear me? So, but if you're #1 and you making money, to me, who making the most money? That's #1 to me.
Brr. That same month that Birdman made those comments, Lil Wayne proved that he probably was still the hottest MC in the game when he dropped his mixtape No Ceilings, which featured freestyles over 2 Jay-Z songs, including Death of Autotune, and 1 freestyle over Jay-Z's wife, Beyonce's song Sweet Dreams. There's videos of Wayne recording this legendary mixtape, and in the footage, he stares into the camera and says, "Jay-Z, I'm about to kill your song." Now, he definitely did kill that song, and that song also definitely killed Drake's dreams, which we'll touch on very shortly in this video. However, it's important to note that by now we are in 2010. Lil Wayne is about to go to Rikers Island prison for the next 8 months, and it's up to Drake to put Young Money on his back and carry on that same legacy that Wayne has built over the last couple years. Simultaneously, Jay-Z is asked about those nasty comments Birdman made, where he said Wayne was a better rapper and had more money than Jay, and Jay-Z responded to this by saying, "Being lyrical is just a matter of opinion. It's who you like, so that's his opinion. As far as money, that's a little more factual. We can determine that. Put it up. If he's that confident, I'll give him a little glimpse. It's crazy. Cut it out. Knock it off. If he believes that, I respect that. That's his guy. he's supposed to ride with his guy. And while Jay-Z laughed off any claims of Birdman or Lil Wayne having more money than him, he did show Wayne a lot of love in a June 2010 interview with Rolling Stones, where he talks about maturing in the game but still being relevant. Jay-Z said, "One of the reasons I wanted to make Blueprint 3 was because of the challenge. We've seen people like LL Cool J have longevity, and we respect the heritage of what he's done. But it's not like right now he's competing on the same level as Lil Wayne. So for me to still be able to compete at that level at my age, that's rarefied air. It's never been done." But speaking of competing with the youngins at this point, Jay-Z had more competition than just Wayne if he wanted to remain the biggest rapper in the game. Wayne again was currently serving an 8-month prison sentence at Rikers Island for a firearm charge. At the same time, Drake was making massive moves within the industry, and in that summer, he dropped his first album, Thank Me Later. On the outro track to that album, Thank Me Now, people thought Drake was taking a shot at Jay's veteran status in the game when he rapped, "I can relate to kids going straight to the league when they recognize that you got what it takes to succeed. And that's around the time that your idols become your rivals. You make friends with Mike but gotta AI him for your survival. I swear sports and music are so synonymous because we want to be them and they want to be us." It makes sense that he's talking about Jay here for a couple reasons. Firstly, Jay-Z often refers to himself as the Michael Jordan of hip-hop. We saw way back in 2007 how Lil Wayne said he's got to be LeBron James to beat Jordan, meaning he was the newcomer that needed to be at the top of his game to surpass his predecessor. But now Wayne's locked up and it's Drake's turn to take the throne from the best rapper alive, which is what he was saying metaphorically when he raps, "You make friends with Mike, but you gotta AI him for your survival." Why he's mentioning being friends with Mike, or that people recognize that he's got what it takes to succeed, and then your idols become your rivals, is because Jay-Z back in 2009 was very supportive of Drake's come up and saw the potential in him early on. Jay was Drake's idol, but to get to where he wants to get to in the game, he's got to surpass him for his survival. But again, he's also mentioning that he's friends with Michael Jordan, aka he made friends with Jay-Z. And that was very much true, because on that same album that Drake was saying he's got to outshine Jay, he also had a song with Jay on there called Light Up, where Jay-Z was giving Drake a lot of advice on what he could expect in his career as he gets bigger, and how he should handle the pressure that comes with the throne. Jay-Z rapped, "Drake, here's how they're gonna come at you, with silly rap feuds trying to distract you in disguise in the form of a favor. The Barzini meeting, watch for the traitors." Now, obviously, this predicts a lot of how Drake's career will go, because a lot of the beefs that Drake was involved in later on in his career came from rappers that Drake had formerly collaborated with, where they sent random shots Drake's way in an attempt to try to dethrone him. Now, Drake did an interview with MTV where he talked about that verse, and he openly admitted that Jay-Z washed him on that record.
The joint with you and Jay-Z on the album, right? I know you and Jay are cool, but it still has to be a little competitive, because I know you trying to eat him up, you trying to eat you up.
Yeah. On Light Up, I lost my footing a bit. Jay came and killed me on that. Jay killed me. That's what I think anyway. Jay killed me on that. The conversations me and Jay have, he's so intrigued by where my life is at, because it's almost like he's seeing it happen again for somebody else. So he was like, "I'm just going to tell you all I've learned," you know, and it was like a beautiful moment. I've really never heard Jay get that personal in a long time.
And Wayne probably thought so as well, because in a phone call that he had from prison with his manager and longtime friend Mac Main, Lil Wayne said of Jay-Z's verse, "Ain't nobody talking about what your boy talking about. That guy is stupid with his rhymes." I said, "Oh, look at that." Wayne thought that verse was so hard that he had to go in and record his own verse on the record from jail on a phone. And now we are in 2011, where this beef gets heightened to proportions we've never seen it before. Wayne gets out of jail, and before he could click up with Drake, Jay-Z and Kanye West link up together to announce that they're going to drop a collaboration album called Watch the Throne. In January of 2011, they put out the first single to that album called Ham. On that record, Jay replies to Birdman's boasts about having more money than him by saying, "I'm like, really, half a billy? Really? You got baby money."
Keep it real with niggas ain't got my lady money.
Baby was another nickname that Birdman had for himself, so when Jay-Z says baby money, he's talking about baby's money, but he's also talking about baby money, saying that Birdman's money is a lot less than what Jay-Z's got. He's also saying half a billy, which is in reference to Lil Wayne's song, A Milli. Birdman would respond to this on Twitter by saying, "We're gonna keep spending baby money. Billionaire mind, stay tuned." Brrr. Then it was Drake's turn to come for the throne. Drake did an interview in January 2011 with Tim Westwood, where Tim Westwood asked him about his collaboration album that was supposed to come out with Lil Wayne. He said, "Yeah, that's gonna come out, but I hear there's these other guys that are thinking of dropping a record together. I don't know where they got that idea from."
We still got to do that album.
Yes, you still got to do that
Some
album.
other guys are coming out with an album too. There's two other guys that are coming out with an album together. Two other rappers that are coming out with an album together. I don't know where they got that idea, but...
In 2013 at the OVO Festival, Kanye West would reveal that that was indeed true, that Jay-Z and Kanye West would have never made Watch the Throne if Drake wasn't putting pressure on them the way he was.
Me and Hov would have never made Watch the Throne. This wasn't putting pressure on us like that.
But anyways, back to 2011, Wayne makes his return with the comeback single 6 Foot 7 Foot, and he's on the set shooting the music video for that song, where he does an interview with Sway from Sway in the Morning, and he's asked about the Ham record and Jay-Z's Baby Money lines, and he says that Kanye West actually played Lil Wayne the record, but he wouldn't question Kanye about Jay-Z's bars. Quote unquote, Wayne said, "I wouldn't make it a competition because actually, the subject that he's talking about in that line, I can't box with the god. I'd be the first one to tell you that. Given my wit and the type of person that I am, I'd capitalize and I'd play off it."
Ye played it for me, personally played it for me. I went to a session with him the other night.
Did you ask him about the Jay-Z line?
I wouldn't ask him about a Jay-Z line because he's not Jay-Z.
Is that something you would react to as an MC?
Actually, the subject that he's talking about in that line, I can't box with the guard with that. You know what I mean? And I'll be the first one to tell you that. Given my wit and the type of person I am, I'll capitalize and I'll play off of it.
So here it kind of seemed like Lil Wayne was acknowledging that he can't compete with Jay-Z, at least on a financial level. And again, at this point in time, Wayne was kind of taking a step back. But Drake was most definitely ready to compete, because in May of 2011, DJ Khaled drops the record I'm On One with Drake, Rick Ross, and Lil Wayne. And in Drake's verse, he says, "I'm just feeling like the throne is for the taking. Watch me take it."
I'm just feeling like the throne is for the taking. Watch me take it.
And just like Wayne back in 2007 saying, "You're like 44, stay on tour, I'm 24, I could murk you," now it's Drake's turn to be in the driver's seat and kick off round 2 of this subliminal Cold War. But Drake would quickly walk back the claims that this was a Jay-Z diss by tweeting out, "Hov diss? Hov of all people has not lost it. That's God body flow." And by August of 2011, Jay-Z and Kanye West would go on to release Watch the Throne, and Birdman was actually asked about the album, and he didn't have the most positive things to say about it. He said, "It's older versus younger, Playboy. I listened to a few songs off the Throne, and it feels like an older feel to me. I think Drake and Wayne, they're young. They're young cats. You got 23 and 28. You got Jay-Z in them, who are older and really on their way out the game. Then you got Wayne and Drake in them, who are still youthful to the game." Brr. And then it was Wayne's turn to shake the game up. He dropped the Carter 4 in August of 2011. He sold almost 1 million copies in the first week, and on that record, there was a song called It's Good, which also featured Drake, funny enough, and Wayne finally responded to those baby money claims that Jay made on the Ham record. Wayne rapped, "Talking about baby money? I got your baby money.
Kidnap your get that how much you love your lady money.
I know you fake. Press your brakes. I'll take you out. That's a date."
How close were you to really spanking Wayne when he threw that shot at the wife?
Nah, it was alright. It's part of the sport and the competition. I didn't take it as a real threat. I took it as a flip of a line.
And at the time, while Watch the Throne was an incredible album, people did feel like Jay-Z and Kanye had kind of grown lazy with the disappointing Ham record. And what often gets overlooked is that Drake also took shots at Kanye and Jay-Z on that It's Good record where Wayne threatens to kidnap Beyonce. Drake rapped, "Please pardon my brother, he's just angry at you guys who don't have your heart in this rap stuff and got too comfy, cause we're still hungry. Young Money got the munchies." And this would be a common theme in Drake's later subliminal disses, where he constantly emphasizes the fact that Jay-Z's in the later half of his career and he's got comfortable in the position he's in and he's not as hungry as Drake is. Now, Wayne commented on these bars by saying, "I know there won't be any repercussions behind what I did. I know for a fact music is about perception. You can't do anything but perceive what you hear. I know that for a fact. So I can't ever be upset about someone else's reaction." And Jay Mills, one of the artists off Lil Wayne's Young Money label, did an interview in 2022 where he actually talked about how all of this went down. He spoke about how Kanye played that Ham record in the studio for Lil Wayne, and he remembers Lil Wayne just running out of the studio when he heard those bars about him and Birdman.
I remember we was in the studio and Ye came to play Ham. First time Wayne heard Ham, right? He didn't feel that shit. "You got baby money, that ain't my lady. Something my lady money, that's baby money." I remember Wayne walked out the room.
While Kanye was there?
Song still playing.
Then Lil Wayne recorded his bars on It's Good, where he's threatening to kidnap Beyonce.
And I remember like 2 days later, he did a song, "Kidnap Your Bitch, See How Much You Love Your Lady Money."
And he actually asked everyone in the studio if he should put it out or if it was going too far. Jay Mills claims that he was the only one in the studio who gave Wayne the confidence to be like, yeah, you should definitely go out and put those bars out. Tell them how you feel.
I remember he was like, yo, y'all think that's too much? And everybody was like, nah, I think you should take that bar out, man. I don't think you should really say that. I was like, do you feel like he was talking about you? Do you feel like it was a shot? You bugging. I'm like, nah, seriously, do you feel it was a shot? Because if you didn't feel it was a shot, you wouldn't have thought of the bar you thought of. So you asking us for validation to go say what you feel now? You know what? You right. He went in there, turn me up. Lighter. Everybody looking at me. Why would you tell him to do that? And I'm like, why not though?
Now, in November of 2011, as Drake is gearing up to drop his next album, he does an interview where he's asked about the fact that he's been nominated for 6 Grammy Awards in the past 2 years, but he's never won one. Drake responded by saying, I've always been fascinated with the Grammys, so I don't mean disrespect when I say this, but I've kind of given up on them. If I ever get one, or when I get one, I'll be ecstatic, because that's a reoccurring dream I've had since I was a kid. That my mother's still alive and that I'm on stage accepting a Grammy and I get to thank her on that stage. But it's tough. They can never really break their mold. Forget last year, because when I read up on the young lady that won, she did some incredible things, and if we're talking numbers, no one really achieved what Justin Bieber achieved as far as the earnings and just worldwide. He deserved it as well. But the one that really got to me was when I lost to Death of Autotune by Jay-Z for Best I Ever Had. That one to me was like, really? Not to say that Jay-Z isn't the most incredible rapper and that Death of Autotune wasn't a good song. I just felt like they had the option to give me a Grammy for a mixtape and they just didn't do it, because it goes against the grain of everything that's traditional. I don't mean to measure my success anymore by the Grammys. I can't, because I'll just end up crushed. And not to be offensive, I just feel it's political. Would I love to win a Grammy? Sure. Will I win one after that comment? Probably not. But Drake would soon get his Grammy get back, and that would come shortly after he released his second studio album, Take Care, in November of 2011. On that album, people thought he was taking more shots at Jay-Z on the song The Ride, when he emphasized Jay's tenure in the game and his lack of cultural dominance at this late point in his career. He rapped, "You guys getting older, I see no threat in Yoda." And Drake at the time really did seem like he had no threat commercially. Of course, that's because a young Kendrick Lamar was still gearing up to drop his debut studio album, Good Kid, Mad City, but at this point Drake was washing everyone with his sales numbers, Jay-Z included, and Take Care was only an improvement as it sold 630K in the first week, way more than any Jay-Z album did since the Black Album all the way back in 2003. A few weeks later, following the impressive first week sales of Take Care, Jay-Z actually congratulated Drake in a handwritten note that Drake shared on his October's very own blog. In the note, Jay-Z wrote, "Monster numbers comes in. Proud of your journey. Peace. Hove." And while it now seemed like Jay-Z and Drake would take care of their subliminal war, we now get to 2012 and it would actually be Lil Wayne who would reignite the beef as he hosted a after party for the Grammys, and while he was on stage, he did a freestyle where he rapped, "I'd met a bad red bone, I took the girl home, I asked her what she wanted to watch, and she said, surely not the throne."
I met a bad red bone, I took the home, I asked her what she wanted to watch, she said, surely not the throne.
Unfortunately for Wayne, Kanye and Jay-Z would end up emerging victorious in the end, as Wayne was nominated for a Grammy in 4 different categories, but Jay-Z and Kanye West beat him in every single one of them. But by 2013, it wasn't Wayne, Kanye, or Jay's turn to be victorious. It was Drake's. He picked up the 2013 Grammy for the Best Rap Album of the Year with Take Care. And by this point, his line about AI and Michael Jordan for his survival never seemed more clear, as he was the top guy in the game. Kanye admitted this when Drake brought him out at the 2013 OVO Fest by confirming Drake's accusations, saying that him and Jay-Z would have never made Watch the Throne if Drake wasn't putting pressure on them.
Me and Hov would have never made Watch the Throne. This putting pressure on us like that.
Later in that year, Jay-Z announced his new album Magna Carta Holy Grail, and in June of 2013, in promotion of the album, Jay-Z released a picture online which contained the lyrics to the record La Familia, which would be featured on the album. The lyrics contained some shots of Lil Wayne and seemed to be a response to Weezy's bars about capturing Beyonce, as Jay rapped,
"Just wanna kidnap white feet. Good luck with that, bro.
You must gonna hide your whole family. What you think we wearing black for? Ready for that war. Ready for that war. Ready. You ain't ready, yo. You radio. You ain't really ready. Real guy. Yeah." In promotion of the album, Jay-Z did an interview with The Breakfast Club, where he also finally talked about how he was about to sign Lil Wayne and why he never ended up doing it. When Jay-Z finally opened up about this, we come to find out even more that Birdman really was involved in this beef as much as Drake and Wayne were. Jay-Z talked about not signing Wayne by saying it was actually Birdman who stopped it from happening, saying that he spoke to Lil Wayne about potentially getting a deal done, and when Jay told Birdman about it, he ended up getting a letter from Cash Money's lawyers about torturous interference, which makes sense because Lil Wayne was on his way to becoming the best rapper alive if he wasn't already, and he was only getting bigger. Birdman would obviously do anything in his power to make sure that his cash cow stayed on the label, and that's going to play a very important role in this story very shortly. Now, Jay-Z said, "I felt it was only right to call him. I called him out of respect, like, yo, I was talking to Wayne, just to let you know." Then he said he got the letter of torturous interference from Birdman, and it all just went from there. I would rather lose that situation and do the right thing than the opposite, because I think I could have signed him. I could have signed him and then told Birdman after. I did the right thing and I'm cool with that decision.
The truth is, after I had a meeting with Wayne, I felt it was only right to call him. I called him out of respect, like, yo, I was talking to Wayne, just letting you know, boom, boom, boom. After that, I think we received a letter at our office for like torturous interference, and it just all went from there. But, I would rather lose that situation and do the right thing than the opposite, because I think I could have signed him. I could have signed him and then told him after, but I did the right thing, and I'm cool with that decision.
But while Weezy and Jay-Z seem to be engaged in a subtle back and forth at this point, Lil Wayne's protege Drake seemed to be on great terms with the rapper. Jay-Z talked about Drake during an interview with Elliott Wilson in promotion of his Magna Carta Holy Grail album, and when Jay-Z was asked about his relationship with Drake, he said, "There's a respect thing there, but there's also a competitive thing, and it's done in the right way. He's definitely the one that's reared his head as the next guy. He's definitely Kobe Bryant." Now, this was a funny, subtle dig to Wayne though, because if you guys don't remember earlier in this video, back in 2007, Wayne was saying he was the Kobe Bryant of hip-hop and would dethrone Jay, who was Michael Jordan. But by 2013, Wayne was not in the top shape lyrically that he once was back in 2007. He also wasn't the highest selling rapper at the time. Drake was. So Jay here is saying that Drake took that role of being Kobe Bryant of hip-hop. Wayne fell back and lost that title. And by September of 2013, the Kobe Bryant of hip-hop would go for his third ring, dropping Nothing Was the Same, a massive album, in my opinion, a classic, and it would feature a couple interesting things related to this beef. See, Jay-Z was famously on the outro track, Pound Cake. According to Drake, Jay gave him 2 a cappella verses he had recorded during his Magna Carta Holy Grail sessions, which ended up being the 2 Pound Cake verses. This was a very rare extension of generosity that we wouldn't see Jay do with most artists. But it's funny to note that he did the same thing with Lil Wayne in 2007 and 2008. Now, Drake sent the song back to Jay-Z with his own verse and put it over a Boy Wonder beat, and Jay-Z was so impressed that he almost snatched the song for himself for his Magna Carta album, but Drake convinced him to let him keep it. In an interview, Drake said, "I sent the song back to Jay, and that was when it almost became a Jay-Z song. But he's such a good guy. He was like, I gave you my word. I don't know what I'd do without that guy sometimes. He's just full of gems and advice."
Were you and Jay in the studio together?
No, I actually
Boo.
in a rare. Well, no, we were, but Jay did his verses first, and originally that his verses were on a different beat, and I worked up the nerve to ask him not only for the song that I had heard, but I actually worked up the nerve to ask him for the acapella because I wasn't crazy about the
beat.
But funny enough, it seemed like the two were actually taking digs at each other on that track. Jay-Z was sunning Drake by rapping, "I had Benzes before you had braces." Drake would respond later on the track by rapping, "Like I didn't study the game to a letter and understand that I'm not doing it the same, man, I'm doing it better." On the album, Drake was also talking about not talking to his label mate Nicki Minaj anymore. He was saying he's now as famous as Lil Wayne, and there was rumors of him leaving Young Money, and this is the same time that he links with Jay-Z on Pound Cake, and in an interview promoting Nothing Was the Same, Drake mentions his relationship with Jay-Z as being one of the strongest he's had with any rapper. He also proceeded to call Jay-Z an incredible mentor.
He's definitely one of my favorite rappers and like one of my favorite people, period.
So you have like built a nice relationship with him?
Yeah, I think like one of the strongest, if not the strongest.
Of all the other rappers?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, who knew?
He's just like an incredible mentor to me and gives me great guidance. I think the more I make him proud, the more he has to say to me.
Now, just an interesting side note, Lil Wayne was not on this Nothing Was the Same album, but Jay-Z was. And Drake talks about surpassing his mentor Lil Wayne and also names Jay-Z as the rapper that he has the best relationship at that current period of time. But this relationship wouldn't be so strong for too long, as months after releasing Nothing Was the Same, Drake took some shots at Jay-Z's heavy use of art references in a Rolling Stones interview. Allegedly, these were things that Drake said off the record that he didn't think were going to be included in the interview, but what he said was, "It's like Hove can't drop bars these days without at least 4 art references. I would love to collect some at some point, but I think the whole rap art world thing is kind of getting corny." Drake also talked about the rivalry that he had with Kanye and Jay-Z back in 2011 when he said, "I'm just feeling like the throne is for the taking, watch me take it." And he chalked that up to being a lack of communication paired with natural competitiveness. He also bigged Jay up by saying he wasn't very impressed with the Ham record, but people in Paris definitely left an impression on him. Drake admitted that that record challenged him to come up with a rap hook just as catchy as a sung one. And that's when we got Started From the Bottom. Drake talked about how that record was a song that he wished he made, and he says when he hears songs like that, he gets physically sick. He says it doesn't happen often, but it happened when he heard People in Paris. He was like, how did I not think of that? Ball So Hard, that stuff cray. It was real rap stuff, but it felt melodic. All the cadences felt so good. And that's directly what inspired Started From the Bottom. Now, just a month after Drake's Rolling Stones interview, Jay-Z quickly clapped back at all the comments Drake was making about Jay-Z using too many art references by teaming up with Jay Electronica to remix the song We Made It. Now, it's important that Drake remixed this song first, but on Jay-Z's remix of the track, he rapped, "Sorry Mrs. Drizzy for so much art talk, silly me rapping about stuff that I really bought, while these rappers rap about guns that they ain't shot, and a bunch of other silly stuff that they ain't got." And a week after Jay-Z's response, Drake answered back by dropping the track Draft Day, where he would clear the air on whether or not he was hating on Jay for talking about art too much. Drake rapped, "I think I'm on my 8th flow, just watch me paint flow. We all do it for the art, so I can never hate though." Drake also didn't miss, no pun intended, the opportunity to remind Jay-Z that he's the new guy running rap and that Jay-Z is kinda washed. As Drake rapped, "I'm focused on making records and getting bigger. Just hits, no misses, that's for the married folk." Now, this bar is a slick double entendre. Actually, it's a triple entendre, because obviously he's referencing Jay-Z being a married folk, but the Mrs. part is also in reference to Jay-Z calling Drake Mrs. Drizzy, and he's saying that Jay-Z's last project, Magna Carta Holy Grail, had some misses on it, because at the time a lot of people were saying that that album was kind of lackluster. Now, later that month, in April, in a playoff game between the Brooklyn Nets and the Toronto Raptors, Drake gives an explanation on Jay-Z's absence from the game. In an on-court interview, Drake said, "This is the people's team out here tonight. You know what I mean? Toronto Raptors. Jay-Z somewhere eating a fondue plate." Now, the Nets ended up beating the Raptors 94-87, which was probably karma for Drake's terrible joke. And Jay-Z heard that joke loud and clear, and he fired back very quickly after on DJ Khaled's record, They Don't Love You No More. On his verse, Jay took aim at Drake, referencing the college sports theme that Drake had on his song Draft Day, and the best shots come at the end of the verse when Jay-Z called Drake soft. He raps, "Guys talking down on the crown. Haters want a ball, let me tighten up my drawstring. Wrong sport, boy, you know you're soft as a lacrosse team." Now, while these shots were very subliminal, and many people could chalk them up to being a reach, since on the surface, Jake and Jay-Z's relationship seemed to be good considering the fact that they just did the Pound Cake record together, Elliot Wilson confirmed that there was a Cold War indeed going on, cause in a new episode of his podcast, The Bigger Picture, Elliot explained how he helped the two rappers squash their beef. He said, "I got them back together. I got them to talk. Around the time when Wayne was doing his tour with Drake in 2014 and they had a show in Queens, Drake came backstage and hugged me and was like, 'I spoke to Hove. We're figuring it out.' He was excited that they had finally talked." And in that same summer that Wayne was on tour with Drizzy, he drops a song called Douce. It's a great song. If you haven't heard it, I definitely suggest you check it out. But if you guys didn't know, Douce is the name of Jay-Z's liquor brand. Wayne opened the song by rapping, "We on that Douce, shout out my guy Hove."
Hove, what your boy?
This would be the first time we'd hear Wayne talk about Jay in a positive light since 2011. Before We on that Douce shout out Hove, it was "Mr. Hove, watch out before I capture your wife and hold her for ransom." Wayne spoke about this change of heart and the Douce song having a shout out to Jay-Z by saying in an interview, "Hove is the god. I'll give Hove a big shout out at all times, but we was just on that Douce heavy. I don't write down none of my music. I don't write it down. So I just go in there and say whatever come to my mind. So what came to my mind that night was what was on my mind that night." Then he was asked if Jay-Z would be featured on his upcoming album, The Carter 5, and Wayne said, "I'm not going to bother that guy. I'm not going to bother him. He seems like he's pretty busy right now, but you never know." Now, in December of 2014, things took a darker turn as The Carter 5 experienced multiple delays, and Lil Wayne randomly took to Twitter to announce he wants off the label that signed him all the way back in 1993. He tweeted out, "Tell my fans, I want you to know that my album won't and hasn't been released because Birdman and Cash Money Records refused to release it. I want off this label and nothing to do with these people, but unfortunately, it ain't that easy. I'm a prisoner and so is my creativity." And in January of 2015, Wayne filed a $51 million lawsuit against the label over his contract and not being paid what he was owed and the delayed release of The Carter 5. In February of 2015, Wayne announced a free album that he would be releasing while he awaited the lawsuit outcome and his ability to release Carter 5. The album would be called the Free Weezy album. In the meantime, Jay-Z was busy with his own business ventures. He announced Tidal, which was a music streaming company that was purchased and now owned by multiple artists and would allow them to directly profit off the earnings that their music generated because they had direct ownership in the company that people would be listening to the music on. And because Tidal promised to pay out much higher royalties than other streaming platforms like Apple Music and Spotify, this seemed like a great venture for the artists to directly invest in themselves. Now, the artists who were part owners of the platform did a press conference in March of 2015 to announce the launch of Tidal, and it included Jay-Z, Beyonce, Kanye, Rihanna, Usher, J. Cole, deadmau5, and even Lil Wayne's Young Money artist Nicki Minaj. But two artists that were noticeably missing were Lil Wayne and Drake. We'd later come to find out that Drake was actually supposed to be one of the celebrities that signed on for joint ownership of Tidal, but he actually dropped out around 2 days before the big announcement was made, and instead, he decided to partner up with the rival Apple Music for a $40 million deal that would lead Drake to release his next album, Views, exclusively on Apple Music for the first week that it was out. But that didn't mean that necessarily Drake or Wayne or Jay were on bad terms, as in June of 2015, Wayne said, "I just signed a deal with my mother effing idol Jay-Z." Many people thought that this meant Wayne would finally be leaving Cash Money and join Roc-a-fella Records, which was something he tried to do 10 years before this back in 2005. Funny enough, he wanted to sign to Jay-Z back then to avoid any money issues with Birdman, but it never ended up happening, and now he's in a $51 million lawsuit with Birdman. However, Wayne's manager, Cortez Bryant, would clarify that that's not what was happening. In an interview with Billboard, he said, "The internet and blogs took his words out of context. When Wayne was speaking about the partnership with Jay-Z, he was speaking about his new deal as an owner with Tidal. So when Wayne said he just signed a deal with his idol Jay-Z, what this really meant was that Lil Wayne joined Tidal as a co-owner. To celebrate, Lil Wayne dropped an exclusive track, Glory, and then announced that the Free Weezy album, the one that he announced in February of that year, would be exclusively released on Tidal as a way for Wayne to still profit off the music while he was going through his legal battle with Birdman and Cash Money. When the Free Weezy album was exclusively released on Tidal, TMZ reported that Cash Money would be suing the streaming service for $50 million. And this was a bigger shot than Drake or Wayne could have ever thrown at Jay-Z, because despite Lil Wayne's recent $51 million lawsuit against Cash Money, they were still his record label, and they objected, claiming that Tidal streaming the album was, quote-unquote, a desperate and illegal attempt to save their struggling streaming service. They further said that Free Weezy album's decidedly mixed reviews could hurt their efforts to sell Lil Wayne's albums in the future. Now, a Tidal rep noted that the planned lawsuit from Cash Money Records actually never happened. They said no Cash Money lawsuit was ever served, and therefore it was dismissed before it was ever started. Now, in the meantime, during the summer of 2015, while Jay-Z is helping Lil Wayne out, Drake is simultaneously destroying Jay-Z's Roc-Nation artist Meek Mill's career as he took over the summer with his Charged Up and back-to-back diss records. On Charged Up, he actually dropped some subliminals at Meek Mill's boss Jay-Z and referenced his absence of the acquisition of the streaming platform Tidal. He rapped, "I'm trying to take the high road, I still got love for my idols, I got me a deal with Apple, and I still feel entitled." But while Drake was taking shots at Jay-Z, Lil Wayne and Jay-Z actually linked up for their first performance together since 2008 on October 20th, 2015. Jay-Z made a concert in Brooklyn to promote Tidal, and he brought Lil Wayne out to perform their song together, Hello Brooklyn. In that same month, Drake dropped his 30 for 30 freestyle, where he referenced a big conspiracy going on within the industry, more specifically Jay-Z, who was trying to take him down. He rapped, "When the higher-ups are all coming together as a collective, with plans to end my run and send me a message." This was in reference to Meek Mill randomly calling Drake out for having ghostwriters, which started off their whole back and forth together. Now we get to 2016, and this is where things get even more interesting. In January, Drake took no time off, he got the ball rolling early, and he dropped his hard-hitting track, Summer 16, where he was throwing shots at Jay-Z. The most obvious shot was where he rapped, "I used to want to be on Roc-a-fella, then I turned into Jay." That's an ode to back in 2011 where he rapped on I'm On One saying, "I feel like the throne is for the taking, watch me take it." But now, by April of 2016, Drake surprised the entire hip-hop world where he got Kanye West and Jay-Z to link up as the throne once again to assist him on his record Pop Style. However, fans were pretty confused that Jay-Z only had like 2 bars on the record. Kanye claimed that Jay-Z innocently just thought of a couple lines after dropping in on a studio session, but some would argue that his contribution was a little more calculated than that. In his 2001 record Takeover, Jay-Z rapped, "And all you other cats throwing shots at Jigga, you only get half a bar. F y'all guys." And funny enough, he only gave Drake half a bar on this pop style record. But to make things even more odd, the album version didn't even feature the throne, so rumors of a feud began to develop. People thought it was weird that Drake replaced Kanye and Jay-Z's part of the track with his own second verse. In an interview with Zane Lowe, Drake spoke about it saying, "Of course people want to hear Jay-Z rap, so hearing him do 2 lines might be frustrating to a certain audience. That just landed in my lap. I just dealt with it accordingly. It didn't play out how I wanted it to as far as business or whatever goes, so I figured it'd be easier to just go with my version." He proceeded to emphasize his respect for Jay-Z though by saying, "Sometimes we just fall on opposite sides of the spectrum. It's always mutual respect, but sometimes it has to be from afar. I've expressed my admiration for Jay-Z countless times. Sometimes we just fall on opposite ends of the spectrum in the rap world." And they definitely were on opposite sides of the spectrum at that point, because in July of 2016, Jay-Z links up with DJ Khaled for his record I Got the Keys, and Jay-Z addresses Drake's claims that he turned into Jay-Z by rapping, "People always asking me the key, till you own your own you can't be free, till you own your own you can't be me, how are we still slaves in 2016? Now, Drake has made multiple claims that he's walked into his label's office and wondered where his checks went. Birdman at this point is obviously known to slime his artists out of their money, and a lot of these issues between Jay and Young Money derive from Birdman trying to take money out of Jay's pocket or compare himself to Jay-Z. He's shutting Drake down by saying, "You can't be me until you get out of that slave deal you signed with Birdman. Till then, we'll continue being on again, off again friends on the surface, and I'll continue positioning myself in the industry to where I'm always ahead of Birdman. Because as an executive, he's my real competition." Jay-Z continued emphasizing these points later on in the song with a few more lines possibly aimed at Drake, where he raps, "Real life I'm like Hove, real life I'm like Goals, real life they're like me, real life I'm like no." Now, in October 2016, Kanye went on his St. Pablo tour, and on stage he went on a rant saying that Jay-Z got his pop style record taken off of Drake's album because of Drake's issues with Meek Mill and his issues with Tidal. According to Kanye, the song was scrapped due to streaming politics. He said, "I wasn't on the album because of Hove. Y'all didn't get what y'all was supposed to get with me and Drake on this song because of some Apple Tidal BS." Then, a day before Drake's 30th birthday, he dropped his collaboration with 21 Savage called Sneaking. That song featured a response from Drake to Jay's lines about owning things, and he said, "You ain't own it right away, you had to wait on people. Man, I'm only 29, have some patience with us. Plus, I never met nobody from my label. I just pop up with the music and they pay me." It's also important to note that Jay-Z didn't own his masters until 2015, 20 years after forming his label with Dame Dash and Kareem Burke, Roc-a-fella Records. So Drake here is basically saying, just like Jay-Z, one day he'll get what's rightfully his. It's also worth reminding that at the same age Jay-Z dropped Reasonable Doubt, Drake had wrapped up the highest grossing tour of 2012 and won the Grammy for the Best Rap Album. So Drake is emphasizing here that he's done a lot more in his career at that point in time than Jay-Z had done at that same point in time in his own career. Now, at the same time of this back and forth between Drake and Jay, Wayne would be showing Jay-Z a lot of love. He did an interview with DJ Drama where he finally revealed the real full story about Jay-Z almost signing him back in the day. He claims that Jay-Z lowballed him when he tried to sign him, but he also showed Jay a lot of love. He said, "You know, when I went out there to talk to him about being at Roc-a-fella, mind you, this was years ago, first of all, we were at the 40/40 in the daytime, and when I got up there, he was talking, it was Denzel Washington, Derek Jeter. I was like, this is his clique? And they were up there just laughing at jokes, and I just don't get them." He literally sat me down next to him, and he's like, "You ain't a part of this, you know?" And then that man offered me $175,000. I said, "Believe that." I was looking like 2 teeth in my mouth is $175,000. My bottom teeth. So we laugh about that all the time.
Shout out my big bro Hope. Since we cool, I could tell a story now, right? You know, when I went out there to talk to him about being a Roc-a-fella, right? When I got up there, they up there just laughing at jokes I just don't get. He literally sat me down next to him. You know, said, "You ain't a part of this." And that man offered me $175. I was looking like 2 teeth in my mouth is $175. My bottom teeth. We joke about it all the time.
But it seemed like even though he never signed to Jay-Z's label, he was still repping it as if he was part of Jay-Z's team, as in November of 2016, Wayne performed at Tyler the Creator's Camp Flog Gnaw Festival, and when he performed his song I'm Me, he changed the lyrics that used to say "I'm a mother effing cash money millionaire," and instead he rapped "I'm a mother effing Roc-a-fella millionaire."
I'm a mother Roc-a-fella millionaire.
This set off another round of speculation about whether or not he was signed to Jay-Z. Now we get to 2017, and Jay-Z for a second time in a row addresses and shoots down Drake's claims on Summer 16 where he said he turned into Jay. On DJ Khaled's song Shining, Jay-Z had a verse where he rapped, 12 solo albums, all platinum. I know you're not out here talking numbers, right? I know you're not out here talking summers, right? And Jay-Z also name checks 21 Savage by repeating the lines, 21 Grammys, I'm a savage. This could be in reference to Drake and 21's collaboration Sneaking, where Drake, as we mentioned before, talked about how he's only 29, have some patience with him, because Jay-Z didn't own his masters when he was Drake's age. Then, a month later, in March of 2017, Drake drops his album More Life, and on the intro track, Free Smoke, he says, I didn't listen to Hove on that old song when he told me pay it no mind. Basically saying that when Jay-Z told him, Drake, here's how they're going to come at you with silly rap feuds trying to distract you, Drake never listened to Jay-Z, because at that point in time, when Meek Mill came at him, which, as Drake claimed was an attempt by the higher-ups to try to get him knocked down, Drake didn't back down. He went full force and, knocked Meek Mill out with that back-to-back record. Then, by July of 2017, Jay-Z releases his 13th studio album, 444, and on there is a song called The Story of OJ. You guys probably remember that song more for the remix that Pusha T did called The Story of Adidon, which was arguably the most ruthless Drake diss track in history, where he exposed Drake for hiding a child. Anyways, on the original song, Jay-Z rapped, you on the gram holding money to your ear, there's a disconnect, we don't call that money over here. A lot of rappers at the time took offense to this, most notably Future, because he was very known to pose with a stack of money to his ear as if it was a phone. And him and Jay-Z have their own issues. Let me know in the comments if you guys want a full breakdown of their beef. But anyways, aside from them, Drake also seemed to laugh off that bar from Jay-Z in another attempt at trying to make Jay seem like he's out of touch with the current generation. In a video, he put 2 stacks of money to his ear and he says, hello? What'd they say about money to your ear? I didn't hear that. But then in November 2017, their on-again, off-again relationship would turn back on when Jay would touch down in Drake's hometown of Toronto on his 444 tour. During the performances that he had, Jay-Z remixed Drake's song KMT and Know Yourself. On the first night, Jay laid a freestyle over KMT. And on the second night, Jay-Z rapped a verse from Jigga What over the Know Yourself beat. Drake was allegedly in attendance of these performances as well. A month later, in December of 2017, Drake and Wayne would team up for a freestyle over Jay-Z's beat, Family Feud. Drake shouts out Jay's right-hand man Guru for sending over the beat, and funny enough, Drake starts the song off by rapping Super Bowl goals. You'll see why that's ironic later on in this video. But it's also funny that 20 years later, Wayne is still rapping over Jay-Z beats like he was doing back in 2003. Only now he's had the chance to become the biggest rapper alive and usher in the next biggest rapper alive with Drake. Shows you how solid the longevity of all 3 artists in this video have been. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because in classic fashion of throwing subs one day and giving hugs the next, Jay-Z drops his joint album Everything Is Love with Beyonce, and he had some bars for Drake and Birdman on that record, where he rapped, no cap, false, you not a boss, you got a boss. People getting jerked, that stuff hurts, I take it personally. Guys would rather work for the man than to work with me, just so they can pretend they're on my level. That stuff is irking to me. Here he's referencing the fact that Drake rejected the deal that Jay-Z gave him with Tidal to instead partner up with Apple Music. He's also saying you're not a boss because you still got a boss, which was Birdman, who was ripping both Drake and Lil Wayne off. He's also saying that, Drake can't pretend he's on his level or say I turned into Jay. That stuff is irking to Jay. He continues making fun of the difference in his and Drake's net worth and the fact that everyone around Drake on his OVO label is broke, and he's the only successful one off that label. As Jay-Z rapped, pride always goeth before the fall, almost certainly. It's disturbing what I gross. Survey says you're not even close. Everybody's bosses still is time to pay for office. To them invoices separate the men from the boys. Over here we measure success by how many people successful next to you. Here we say you're broke if everyone gets broke except for you. But just a few weeks later, they'd go back to being friends as Drake dropped his album Scorpion in June of 2018. And one of the biggest takeaways on the album was the surprising guest feature from Jay-Z. The two collaborated on the song Talk Up. While he was on the European leg of his On The Run 2 tour, Jay-Z recorded his verse days before the Scorpion album's release date. He did the verse in like 2 hours, and Drake recently just released the footage of the interaction, and in the clip, Drake tells his producer 40 that he plans to take a quick 2-hour power nap so he can just be around in case Jay-Z had any questions when he recorded his verse.
I'm only laying down for like 2 hours while Ho's doing the show. I don't want him to hit me and be like, hey, what do you think of this? And I'm not there to respond. He's on stage now. 2 hours from now is 4 o'clock. An hour, like he's gonna get off stage, shower, probably have a drink, and then set back up with Guru
To write and record.
to write it. Yeah, so that's gonna be, that process is gonna be 2 hours.
Guru, Jay-Z's DJ and engineer, shared some more details on the struggles behind Jay-Z recording that verse. He said, "We were on the Run 2 tour. Remember, I'm the DJ. Jay-Z hit me, simply said, set up a studio in the venue. I'm like, what? But of course I get it done. We go out and do a 2-hour show. Mind you, he has to remember every verse from every album. No backing tracks. I'm DJing. I can't miss a cue, or the musical director would kill me. We finish the show. We go back in the room to finish the verse. But the problem is I have an after party. I can't remember what city or country in Europe, but understand, my parties have been set up months before the tour. The promoter waited in the parking lot for 2 hours, and I can't tell him why I'm late. By the time Ho finished the verse, the internet that we set up from Live Nation is gone. Everyone is gone. I had to tether my phone to my computer to send the session to Drake's producer 40. I made it to the club just in time for my set. When y'all hear this work, I sometimes wonder if you understand how much goes into it. Classic nights, and I kill my set." Now, on the intro of that same album, Drake also addressed the fact that him and Jay-Z laughed over the subliminals that they've been taking at each other for years. Drake rapped, "Taking shots with the GOAT," and talking about the shots that we're sending. So it seems like at this point, the complicated relationship between Drake, Lil Wayne, and Jay-Z has entered a more positive chapter. It's now August 2018, and Drake attended Jay-Z and Beyonce's concert in Detroit, and after years of friendly sparring, we got the first public picture of the two titans together since 2013, backstage at the On the Run 2 tour. Then by December of 2018, we get what's probably the most friendly gesture we've seen in this entire 20-year back and forth when Lil Wayne gets on stage and thanks Jay-Z for helping him when he was down. He revealed that Jay-Z even helped Lil Wayne with his taxes.
There's people like Jay-Z. He helped me when I was really down. Really down. He don't want me to talk about it, don't want me to tell nobody. Jay don't want me to tell nobody. That man helped me with my tax. These are real friends, y'all. Shout out to my nigga Jay.
It's important to note that this was right after Lil Wayne made a settlement with Birdman over his $51 million lawsuit, and throughout the time that he was in court, he probably incurred tons of legal fees. He couldn't drop new music, so he wasn't collecting new royalty checks, and his relevancy was somewhat dwindling due to his inactivity. So his back catalog was likely selling less, so his income was obviously less and less than it would have been in, let's say, 2011. Now, we don't know the extent to which Jay-Z helped Lil Wayne with his taxes, whether he paid some of the taxes for Wayne or he just helped Wayne get his finances in order, but it was later reported that Lil Wayne was once in $14 million worth of tax debt, meaning he owed $14 million to the government. And that's when Jay-Z came through to help Wayne. It shows that even throughout their competitive sparring, Jay-Z always had deep respect and love for Wayne. And it seems like Drake had that same love for Jay-Z too, and he was finally ready to put the sparring to rest. Because in 2019, he did an interview with Elliot Wilson and B-Dot where he talked about Jay-Z, their competitive back and forth, and why their relationship never took a turn for the worse. Drake said, "I think Jay has a lot of respect for me, and he's aware of the massive amount of respect I have for him. I think we both enjoyed our moments of him checking the young boy and me being like, no, I'm here." Then in 2020, as I mentioned before, Lil Wayne would go on Drink Champs and Jay-Z would admit that when Lil Wayne dropped his freestyle to Show Me What You Got, Jay-Z had to take a long look in the mirror and ask himself if he truly still had it. Finally admitting that way back in 2007, he genuinely did view Lil Wayne as a threat, gunning for that Best Rapper Alive position. Wayne did another interview that year with Lil Baby where he again emphasized that In My Lifetime Volume 1 is one of his favorite albums of all time, and he has Jay-Z's lyrics from that album tattooed on his leg and his neck. Now the next year in 2021, Jay-Z and Drake collaborated again on the song Love All off his Certified Lover Boy. And in the summer of 2022, Drake hosted his OVO World Weekend, and one of the nights was dedicated to highlighting solely Toronto acts. Think of it as a Canadian version of Kendrick's pop-out concert. But anyways, while he was on stage, Drake basically said Jay-Z inspired him to do an event like this where he highlights the talent from his city, emphasizing that Jay-Z has inspired Drake in many ways.
I remember when I was about like 17 years old, I was in a parking lot.
I was watching Jay-Z do a show. It was like the first time Jay-Z had ever really like come to the city and shown us love. I'll never forget, we were watching and he was bringing out all his new acts, like I think like Tierra Marie and like all these like different, I don't even know if you guys know who that is. He was bringing out all these different people, and then towards the end of the night, he brought out one of the most important people to the city. He brought out a man named Cardinal Fashad. For me, that was really a moment that unlocked something in my mind. It made me realize that all this is possible, you know? So I want to thank him, both of them, for that moment.
But at that same time, we're going to enter conspiracy land for a little bit, because in that same summer of 2022, there were a bunch of rumors that Drake dropping a house music album right before Beyonce dropped her house music album had really upset Jay-Z. And around the same time, Tory Lanez was about to be sentenced for allegedly hitting Megan Thee Stallion with a firearm in her foot. Megan Thee Stallion is Jay-Z's artist, and Drake was very vocal in his desire for Tory Lanez to be free, and he also took a shot at Megan Thee Stallion on his album Her Loss later that year, where he rapped, "This girl lied about getting shots, but she's still a stallion." Allegedly, this bar also upset Jay-Z since, again, Megan was his artist. And since then, we haven't seen Drake mention or be seen with Jay-Z, but in August of 2024, we did see Lil Wayne and Jay-Z together at Jay-Z's exclusive pop-up event, where they were celebrating the upcoming launch of the 4040 nightclub in New York City. In a clip from that night, you see Lil Wayne and Jay-Z posted up together, and Jay-Z is bopping his head to Lil Wayne's song Hustler Music, showing that he still has deep love and respect for that prime Weezy music. But now we get to the 2025 Super Bowl. It's about to be hosted in New Orleans. Lil Wayne has been very vocal about his deep desire to perform at the Super Bowl. It would mean a lot to him since it's in his hometown.
The Super Bowl is in New Orleans. I think it's in 2025 or something like that. He's doing it. I'm not sure. Come on, man. I will not lie to you. I have not got a call.
Hey, Jay, like but I'm camera folk, Jay.
But we all praying, you know. We praying. We keeping our fingers crossed. I'm working hard. I'm going to make sure this next album and everything I do is killer. I want to just make it hard for them not to holler at the boy.
At the same time, Drake and Kendrick Lamar are engaged in their famous back and forth. Kendrick drops the nuke that is not like us, puts Drake to rest, and simultaneously, Jay-Z and Roc-Nation entered into a long-term partnership with the NFL as the league's official live music entertainment strategist. What this means is that Roc-Nation will spearhead and advise on the selection of artists for the NFL tentpole performances, including the Super Bowl, and they'll assist in the production and promotion of new music as well as culture and cause-focused initiatives. This basically means that the selection process of who's actually going to end up performing at the Super Bowl starts with a panel that includes Roc-Nation as well as the NFL Director of Entertainment. After the process of deciding on a couple names of who could potentially perform at the NFL Super Bowl, the list is handed over to the Super Bowl's hosting city for a final decision. Ultimately, based off what's published online, this means that the city that the Super Bowl takes place in that year has the final decision on the candidates that Roc-Nation and whoever else is involved in suggest to be the halftime performer, meaning that they could say yes or no to any of the candidates. Now, why people are outraged is because Kendrick Lamar, the guy who is obviously beefing with Drake, was announced to be the performer, and many people thought that Lil Wayne was snubbed and that he deserved to have this performance. People also thought that because of this ongoing back and forth between Drake, Birdman, Jay-Z, and Lil Wayne, Jay-Z blocked Lil Wayne from performing and suggested Kendrick Lamar instead. A, because he wanted to see Kendrick dance on Drake's grave on a stage as big as the Super Bowl, but also because he knew if Lil Wayne was performing, he would bring Drake out, and Jay-Z wanted to avoid that from happening. Now, people were outraged, and not just fans, you had tons of rappers coming out saying that Lil Wayne got snubbed. First, Master P said that Wayne deserved to perform. Boosie and Hurricane Chris went off saying that Louisiana artists aren't getting their flowers. Cameron went absolutely off, completely blaming Jay-Z for Wayne not being on that stage.
I love Kendrick Lamar. You don't get Lil Wayne in New Orleans for the
Hot
Super
boys.
Bowl. There's no reason why Lil Wayne should not be performing the Super Bowl. There's one person who's stopping this. It's not really a secret. Lil Wayne had a problem with somebody before who's kind of part of the organization running it. This is payback. Who's Lil Wayne artist? Drake.
Hating at this age is crazy.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
bro.
Now, keep in mind, like I mentioned way earlier in this video, if you stuck stuck around, then, hit a little like, a little comment. But yeah, way back in this video, I mentioned Cameron was beefing with Jay-Z in 2007 around the same time that Lil Wayne was, and him and his Dipset collective very publicly embraced Lil Wayne and helped him bring his sound to the East Coast. But the two people who went the most off on Jay-Z were Nicki Minaj and Birdman. The official Young Money account tweeted, "We know the truth." Birdman tweeted out, "These people kitty cats," and he tagged Nicki Minaj, Drake, and Lil Wayne, and he said, "YMCMB, I'm gonna make these guys respect us on Gladys." But it was Nicki Minaj who went the most off in defense of her label owner Lil Wayne, as she tweeted out, "Got everything in the world, still spiteful and evil, disgusting. Be happy, be effing happy. In rap business, in women business, when you got the politicians and the police, you good though. Plus that ugly Laffy Taffy alien." I'm not sure if she was talking about Beyonce there, but she kept going on by saying, "Denying a young black man what he rightfully put into this game for no other reason but your ego. Your hatred for Birdman, Drake, and Nicki got you punishing Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne? The GOAT? Noya, what's good? Eminem stood firm on having 50 Cent come out. A white man. Stuff is sad. And by the way, you don't know the half of what Lil Wayne has done for me and others. Wayne had Drake and I on his tour with no paper signed. He was on all my mixtapes with no paper signed. This man has literally changed the face of hip-hop. The hair too. If you know, you know. He inspired so many to tat their faces and get locks. Inspired your faves to want to be a great MC. He was never in this for the money. It's always been for the love of music. God forbid if Lil Wayne was to leave this earth right now, the culture would be in mourning. That's why so many people keep saying to give our legends their flowers while they're still around to smell them. Sitting around all day playing games with people's life and legacy. God ain't sleep. G. Robertson, you will learn that too. Very soon." Then she goes off on Jay-Z by saying, "He wants guys to lick his lollipop for a Grammy. Wants them to lick his lollipop to do the halftime show. Lol, glad I did it already. LMAO. Threatening any outlet who shows me love. If you don't get gone, God will punish you. Mark my words. The man has not only pushed his pen the hardest, but gave the game more than one hip-hop icon as well on his watch. Represent the rap game? The best rapper don't represent the rap game well enough for you? Black people. Wow, if this don't hurt your head to read, it will one day. Look at how our legends keep being treated, after they've given us so much. Who are you? You God? Judgmental swine delete. Lol, you will regret tweeting this. Life is funny that way. Don't you dare turn your nose up at Lil Wayne. You can love and respect Kendrick and still love and respect Wayne. Even Kendrick loves and respects Wayne. Every real rapper loves and respects Wayne." And again, based off of sources online that come directly from the NFL, it's not Jay-Z who selects the headliner. His people provide a short list of the options, and then the host city decides who the final performer will be. But we don't know how many strings he could pull, and even suggesting Kendrick Lamar over Lil Wayne when Lil Wayne claims he never even got a call from them to consider the possibility of him performing in his hometown shows that there might have been some agenda from Jay-Z against Lil Wayne, Drake, and Birdman, or at least Nicki claims. But we'll save Nicki's issues with Jay-Z for another video, because ultimately this leaves fans as confused as they were 20 years ago. All three artists obviously have a lot of love for each other, but between their love and this underlying competitive rivalry amongst Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, and Drake, they seem to slight and attack one another one day and praise each other the next. Now, it's important to emphasize that this doesn't just stem from competition as artists. It stems from competition as executives and who controls the most power within the industry. Jay-Z emphasized this when he responded to Drake, saying that he turned into Jay by coming back with the bars, "Till you own your own, you can't be me." And that's when the root of this problem pokes out. Pause. But that would be Birdman. Whether it was Birdman sending lawyers' letters to Jay, blocking him from signing Wayne back in 2004, to blocking Jay from releasing Wayne's music on Tidal in 2015, or saying he has more money than Jay back in 2009, and Jay coming back by saying Birdman doesn't even have Beyonce's money, we could clearly see that money is the root of all evil, and all these subliminal shots or industry moves behind the scenes show us that Jay-Z's not just fighting to be the top rapper, he's positioning himself to be the biggest mogul in the entertainment industry. And in efforts to do that, he's swatting away Birdman and his artists like flies by helping Lil Wayne when Wayne sues Birdman, but then simultaneously taking shots at Drake when Drake becomes competition to him, or doing an album with Kanye when he feels the pressure from guys like Drake or Wayne, or sending Kendrick to do the halftime show to dance on Drake's grave once again. But as far as Drake, Wayne, and Jay, the story plays out in a similar dynamic to how it all started. Jay was and always will be an OG to the two hitmakers, but throughout their ascensions to the top, Hove always seemed to acknowledge both Wayne and Drake as respectable players in the game that he laid the foundation for. Drake and Wayne were hungry, constantly battling for the throne, and for a long time, they both struggled balancing their admiration for Jay while also wanting to dethrone him. At one point, Wayne was saying he was better than Jay, while a young Drake would be praising Hove and gifting him hooks for his albums. Then years later, Wayne would find himself relying on and praising Jay-Z for the financial and creative assistance and wisdom that Jay was able to provide, while Drake would passively aggressively say he used to want to be on Roc-a-fella until he turned into Jay. And while it's hard to say today whether or not the three are on good terms, it's important to remember what Kendrick Lamar said in his recent beef with Drake, where he admitted that he's a selfish guy and the crown is heavy. As much as someone might have taught you everything you know and paved the way for you to be as great as you are, when it comes down to the name that you want to make for yourself, sometimes you gotta play dirty for the top position, and in the process, your idols might become your rivals. In Drake's case, it seems like him and Jay-Z bonded over their mutual frustration of Kanye's constant antics, which resulted in them putting their differences aside to collaborate. And with Wayne, he seemed to take a step back and let Drake chase that Best Rapper Alive title, and as a result, he was able to learn from Jay, not only on how to become a better artist, but also how to be a better businessman. And while Jay-Z showed Drake and Lil Wayne how to move in a room full of vultures, he eventually had 99 problems, and at one point, due to their massive success, Jay was forced to acknowledge that both Drake and Wayne were two of those problems. And when questioning whether Drake or Wayne were friend or foe, it seems like the answer lies in Jay's own lyrics, as his two successors were simply tending to dough, and they constantly leveraged Jay to do it, whether it was through camaraderie and collaboration or rivalry and competition. Either way, to this day, it seemed like it was no dirt off Jay-Z's shoulder.
There's a lot of little nuggets in both of their disses that if it wasn't for these breakdowns, and salute to, guys like this, Rapaholics, because I think they directly get it.